and gentlemen, I'd like to invite you to go fuck yourself. Are you filming me talking? Well, there's nothing interesting. I'm not saying anything interesting. Anyway, the term homeless is not really an accurate term of a homeless population in Manhattan or any of the various boroughs of New York City, because what you have within that population, just as you have within the population of people who have an address and are gainfully employed or are of independent means and have an address, what you have there is a very diverse population within itself, but it is rather separate socially for the most part from the rest of Manhattan. Anyway, there's a diverse type of people within this population that is often put into a bubble when we describe it as homeless. You have a population of people, some of them, who would be called in some cities canners. These are people who pick up bottles and cans and they redeem them for money. You have people who are mainly just scavengers. They're not necessarily looking for food, but they're scavenging for money, or they do perhaps opportunist crimes of grabbing a purse or a camera or a phone or something like that. And then there's some people that are just like pack rats who just have gone completely nuts, and they just are always picking up new things or interesting things or uninteresting things and just loading them up and saving them in bags and bags and bags. And that's where you get the term bag lady. Living as and living with these various types of people and analyzing them as best I could identify specific social and certain tight constructs within this group, just as we have in individuals who have a job, just as someone who's an auto worker or a waiter or whatever. You can tell like somebody who like has a really good life where nothing bad is happening to them when they argue about who has like the best corned beef sandwich. You know they have like a really good life, you know? Are you recording me right now? It's a waste! Why would you use it? You're not going to use this. Oftentimes when one rides the bus or the train, when they fall asleep in New York or any major city in America that has public transportation, the individual will receive free at no charge air conditioning tailoring, which I say that in a tongue-in-cheek, where when you fall asleep, there's these characters that what they do is they take a box cutter usually or some other sharp knife or blade, and they will slice the pockets of their mark, who isn't necessarily a homeless person. Often they target the Latin men who are going home early in the morning with a pocket full of cash. I placed what I referred to myself as the cheese, a wallet with nothing in it, in my pocket. And so I didn't quite fall asleep, but I was making out as though I was. And I felt a tapping on my body. What they like to do is they like to see if you are asleep. So they'll tap your foot or they'll tap your chest. And if you were to wake up, they'd say, oh, I saw you sleeping. You better not sleep or someone will hurt you. Or they'll say, oh, I thought maybe you might have missed your stop. Or something like that. Or by the way, have you got a cigarette? Some of the fellows are very clever. One fellow, he cut the front of this parka that I was wearing. And I said, hey, you're trying to rob me. And he said, no, you lie. And I said, oh, really? And he folded up his knife. Another time I woke up and this woman had her hand in my pocket of my coat. And I said, you're trying to rob me. And she says, no, I'm not. So I gave her the benefit of the doubt and I asked her, well, if you're not trying to rob me, what's going on? She says, well, you don't remember, but you owe me money. I opened up the bag and it was a Mai Tai with ice in it, in this bag. Can you imagine finding a fucking $30 Trader Vic's dinner? Look at that, isn't that wonderful? That's the French manicure. Last few months I found an open bottle of tequila, an unopened bottle of Mum's Cordon Rouge. I found bottles of Guinness Stout and microbrews and various wines. Some of them open, some of them not. And a few nights ago I had some delicious steak. So you never know what you'll find in these receptacles. A rule of thumb is if you can't identify what it is, animal, vegetable, mineral, or garbage, it's best not to eat it. I don't like to be a litter bug. And so I was standing on a train platform, and this young, irate fellow, he comes up to me and he says, "I notice you're staring at me. Are you a tough guy? What are you trying to do, threaten me?" And I said, "Well, no, I'm not trying to threaten you, but I am a tough guy." He says, "Well, you don't look like one. Tough guys don't look like you." I said, "You don't know what a tough guy is, young man. If you can live as I've been living lately, you are indeed a tough guy." Yeah. I wouldn't give these sons of bitches a dime in fucking hell if you gave me $1,000. They can kiss my ass. Fuck the Salvation Army. And have a nice day.
No, I just got it this time. The office there, she takes everything off.
$14.50. Ramen noodles, eh? I believe I have a better idea. $14.50 is rather high for ramen noodles, even in New York City. Why, I wouldn't go higher than 39 cents. First you take your ramen noodles and you break them up. Then you take them and you put them in a reasonably tight, reasonably airtight receptacle, such as this cup. You take the sauce and you throw it out because it's got too much salt and MSG. So then I take some coffee and I pour some of my coffee. So I close it up in there and I let the noodles fester. For 39 cents they don't simmer, they fester. So, all right, now I think our noodles might be ready. Let's have a look. By jingle, they look pretty good. Look at that. They've puffed up. They're al dente ramen noodles. These are Oriental flavor. I'll take their word on that one. Now here's what I'm going to do, folks. Look at that. I'm pouring out the coffee in here, which I'll enjoy in just a little while. Well, you see, if you're concerned simply with your survival, you don't really take into account how something tastes at all, because you just want to make sure you're tasting something that isn't tasting you back. I have some, by the way, some delicious butter here. We can make a nice buttery sauce with the world's finest butter. Now, I know this looks kind of gross, but it looked beautiful when it was on Barbara Walters' breakfast tray this morning at the plaza. Here you go. Look at that. Isn't that great? Oh, volare. Or whatever it is. Oh, we're almost ready. Oh, kids, look what we got. Buttery noodles. They look the same as the other ones, but oh, let me see how they taste. Oh, man. Delicious. $14.50. Ah, my posterior. Luxury for only 39 cents. I got the most out of my coffee by doing something with my coffee before I drink it. Do you know Bob Newhart at all, personally?
Yeah, no.
No. Okay, I thought you might.
I saw Don Rickles in concert.
I saw him in his car driving down the street with us.
Yeah?
No, the only reason that guy who was just going by looked kind of like Bob Newhart, but it wasn't. But, no, it's not a big deal. It's a nonsensical thing. I I bought a used suit years ago that had been owned by Bob Newhart, and I thought if you knew him, if you ask him if he has any more used suits of his that he doesn't want, you know, I'm about his size. His waist is a little bigger, but we wear the same size jacket, you know. Bob, if you're watching, I could use one of you. No, I'm kidding. That's all right. I don't. That's okay. Don't worry. This is my emergency tie, because if I'm going to fall asleep somewhere like Starbucks, it's always good to have a tie on, because if you fall asleep with a tie, they go, "Are you all right, sir?" And if you don't have a tie, they go, "Hey, you got to go."
Really?
Yes. do this as a kid, reading the Esquire book of gentleman's fashion. I know how to tie a tie, but I've yet to be a gentleman. In New York City, as well as in other cities like Chicago, San Francisco, Los Angeles, a prop in homeless jargon means generally something to make it look like you're really doing something, such as if you're in a Pret-a-Manger or a Starbucks or somewhere else, you get one of their cups that's empty and you set it there, and that gives you an entry fee because that's your prop. I'm walking around and not bathing at a regular schedule. What happens often is that people are perturbed by how I smell, and so am I sometimes. So I was at a drugstore waiting in line for whatever it was I was buying, and this female bitch person behind me decides that she's going to make me smell a little better. So she sprays perfume on me. And I turned around and I said, listen, cunt, if you spray that on me once more, you're going to need some major plastic surgery because I'm going to put a few extra holes in your body. The drugstore in back of me is a Duane Reade. You might want to bleep that out or keep it. At 5th Avenue and 44th. Now, a few months ago was when I last quit visiting this store. And of course I don't look, I don't look too stylish. And as I'm going up the escalator, this fellow with these long, goofy dreadlocks, it looks like he bought them at the Rick James estate sale, super freak. This fellow, I guess he was the manager, he says, sir, and I turn as we're running up the escalator, he says, do you want to pay for some of those things that you have in your bag? Or do you need a separate bag for some of those things you put in your bag? And I said, listen, mister, I didn't put anything in my bag. Let's go downstairs and I'll show you. So I went downstairs and I took everything out of my bag and I laid it on the floor. And I said, see, I didn't put anything in my bag and I don't want to shop in your store. And then I said a compound word to him where the last part of the word is the word hole. If I could, I'd like to hire a private detective to find out where she is to completely embarrass her in front of the whole world, so you could all send her nasty emails and get her address so you could all mail her fish heads and things like that. I'm going to reenact something that there was a homeless guy that told me that he did this. Hello, operator. Merry Christmas. I know it's not your job, but I just don't have anybody to say Merry Christmas to, so I just wanted to speak to you. The same to you, operator. You have to improvise. Sometimes the most unlikely places are your ATM. By finding coinage, abandoned coinage, in various machines such as the parking meters or news racks. It didn't work that time, but it often does work. There we go. Look at that.
What do you got?
A quarter.
Quarter?
Please don't tell the IRS. What I want to show you is you put the paper money in your glove because what happens is the crackheads, they love paper money and they're generally too lazy to steal coins. They don't like coins. See, the dope man only takes paper. Do you understand? A bum is only as good as his spot, and his spot's only as good as his method of collection. Now this is my glass jar that I developed. It's got some orange tape here, so people don't necessarily walk into it, although it could break. And you put a little bit of what I call the cheese, some money, so people can see it. So what I do is, I've been collecting the foreign coins, and generally I fill this up with foreign coins, or just less than $1 or so of change in pennies, and then people put their money in here, and then I'll turn it around, and then you see where it says bless you again. You've seen bums sitting on the ground on the sidewalk, and that can be very, very difficult on your posterior if you don't have enough fat, such as yours truly. And well, what I do is I put a special plastic box under me. And I found that what you need to do is you need to also secure your box with a bicycle lock. Yeah, well, I'm looking for my socks. Say an army travels on its stomach, well, a tramp travels on his feet. And what you need to do is have a pair of clean socks, at least every 7 to 10 days. and you also need some very inexpensive medication. But it's very interesting, though. It's an exercise in psychology. And when people see you do something that normally they would do in the privacy of their own bathroom, and you're doing it in public, it's quite an interesting thing to see how various individuals from various cultures and economic and ethnic backgrounds react to it. This crazy drunken guy just stopped as he was walking, turned around and said to me, "I'm thinking about punching you in your face." And so I said to him, "Well, I believe you." And then I took out this canister of this substance that you're not supposed to spray at people in New York City because technically it's illegal. And so I sprayed him in the face with this. You know what I thought was neat? In the 70s it was $20, and at the end of it she'd tie my shoes. Are you recording this? You are, aren't you? That was the sexy part, because an American girl would never tie your shoes. You know, even if you're married to her. Unless you had a lot of money and you were gonna die soon, then she'd do it. She'd figure, well, he'll die soon.
Hello. Hey, Hernando, what's up, man? I'm just hanging out with Mikey on the streets of the city. All right. Please. Yeah, I got you one.
Oh, man. That tastes as good as Taylor Swift. I don't know what I'll be doing next time. I have to take a nap. But there might not even be a next time. By the way, if you don't purchase this pilot and you don't make this into a show, you're making the worst mistake of your life. So listen, Booby, you buy this fucking show, and we're gonna come into your fucking house and
motherfucker.
and we're gonna piss in your fucking mailbox. If you can hear this, you may be an asshole and entitled to federal money. Call now and blow the operator. My God, what an odd place for a used condom. One sip, and you've got balls. Vodka, that is. No, that's a fucked up song. Okay, here's a song, okay?
All right.
Okay. Wait, can you see me or is it too dark? There's one pet I like to pet, and every evening we get set, I stroke it. Every chance I get, it's my girl's pussy. Seldom plays, never purrs, and I love the thoughts it stirs, but I don't mind because it's hers, my girl's pussy. Often it goes out at night, returns at break of dawn. No matter what the weather's like, it's always nice and warm. Never dirty, always clean, and giving thrills, never mean. The finest I have ever seen, my girl's pussy.